You're watching SchreckTeck, where tech is Shrecky. This show is sponsored by Synapse 3DI at www.synapse3di.com and by Relate Corporation at www.relate.com. Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Zanotti with Relate Corporation. Next to me from Synapse 3DI is Gina Schreck. Hey, Gina. How's it going today?
Great. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's a bright, sunny, 100-degree day here in Denver, Colorado.
It's 100 over there? Oh, we're actually in the 70s today, so no complaints.
Nice. Yeah, we've had very hot days and then thunderstorms during the night. There's a raft of cowbell. I swear I'm going to buy like a little bike horn, and I had one, and I can't find it. I'm going to get some random sound effect.
You need a vuvuzela. Remember those from the World Cup?
Yeah, those were annoying.
That can drive you crazy, absolutely crazy.
That's pretty funny. So did you do anything this week that's eventful? Or
No, I just had a lot of fun buying new iMacs. Watching not iMacs, Mac Minis.
You actually didn't have fun at first.
On Thursday, I went to the Apple Store. On Wednesday, went to the Apple Store, got very badly treated, and then decided, all right, hell with them. I'm going to a different Apple Store. After we blogged that it was a really crummy Apple Store we went to. And so what happened is, on Thursday, went to a different Apple Store, a good one in Woodland Hills, California, where a very nice person helped us out. What was his name? Brian Melendrez.
Brian,
nice guy.
Shout out to you, Brian.
Brian, good work.
Good work, Brian.
Yep.
And, isn't that terrible when you get bad service and you're there to pay? You're there to give them.
I know, you walk in with a credit card in hand, going, "I've got money," and they just ignore you. But anyway,
I got to get in queue.
Yeah, so we got a Mac Mini server, and then we also got a Mac Mini. Those are going to be the Skype machines for our show.
Okay, how big is the Mac Mini?
It's about the size of maybe. Oh, do you remember the old Apple TV? It's about maybe.
It's big.
Yay big. Let's see, where am I? Right here. It's about maybe 6-7 inches by 6-7. It's like a 6-inch cube.
So it's smaller than the iPad.
It's smaller, not by much. It's about the same.
And
let's say it's about the same size, maybe a little more square rather than rectangle.
Okay.
And maybe about 1.5 inches thick. What? So it's not very thick at all. And they're pretty fast. The new Mac server has an i7 chip, which is quick. And then the Mac Mini has an i5 chip, which is also pretty quick.
That's cool.
And they run well. They don't generate a lot of heat. And I got you probably can't see it where I'm at right now because the camera's over there, but I got an HP monitor for them, and I have a monitor switcher, an HDMI monitor switcher, so I can go between one and the other. So I have both keyboards. I should have gotten a KVM, so I have the keyboard, mouse, and but I wasn't sure if it would work with the Mac, so I just got the switcher, and everything was great. Had it all set up for the show last night. And Desktop Presenter on Wirecast, which is what we use to do the shows, did not work. So last night we scrambled and put 2 more computers in this office, and that's how we're doing this right now.
Things that should be easy, and they're not.
And they're not. Gotta love it.
Yeah, frustrating.
So how was your weekend?
Our grandson was here for 3 weeks, which was very long. Loved him being here. We had a lot of fun, but man, it is exhausting having a little one around the house again. So we got him off to the airport on Saturday, and yesterday was my first day of kind of freedom, of just going, wow, I can actually be productive and get work done again. So
that's your free gong.
That was me sitting yesterday, just zen-like,
just recuperating, right?
Yeah. You forget how hard what I did learn with him being here for 3 weeks is how much I really rely on my mobile gadgets to get work done. I mean, we would go to the pool, and he would be in the pool, and I would go into a little shade cabana thing, and I would turn on my tether on my phone and then get my iPad out, and I could whip out the work. right there. And, and I had a lot of questions last week about tethering and what is tethering. And, I just always make that assumption. Oh, we all know what tethering is. But I believe all smartphones have the ability, at least all the new smartphones have the ability to tether. Whether it costs more or not is always the key. And you have to check with your provider. Because I have T-Mobile and it's free. Do you know if your phone...
AT&T you have to pay.
You do? Or is it $20 a month?
Something like that.
And really all it is you're turning on, you go into your wireless and network settings, and you turn on a mobile hotspot. And what's cool is I can actually allow, we were out on the boat. A friend of mine has a boat, and so we were out on the lake. And it's funny because she works for AT&T and has an iPhone, and she's very iPhone savvy, but could not get on internet out there. And I said, hold on, let me turn on my Android T-Mobile tether.
And your Android saved the day for the iPhone, because the iPhone does not tether, at least not unless you...
But she had her laptop, and she was able to get into her email, and we could, I turned on my tether, and we could all get our work done sitting out there in the middle of the lake. So it was definitely one of those times when I thought, I really do rely so heavily on being able to work mobily. And I think I do more than the normal person on the go, because, I'll drop Bailey off and at a friend's house, and then I'll have an appointment that's maybe an hour later. I can just sit somewhere and, again, turn on that tether or go somewhere where there's Wi-Fi and get work done on my iPad. And I really feel like I'm using my iPad more and more and my laptop less and less. I still, when I have to go and present somewhere, if I have to give a presentation, I still rely on my laptop.
Now, actually, that's interesting. Have you tried using your iPad as a presentation? It's got a prompter. Prompter software works really well. Yeah. You could actually have all your notes on it. You could also have the attachment that also attaches it to your projector or monitor. Right.
And that is the only thing I haven't done. And I think it's just one of those, I need to try it when there's not a lot on the line.
Right.
I show up to a client event and I don't want to take the risk, but I need to.
What you do is you get all your little animals outside and you put them together and go, okay, guys, before we eat, you have to watch a presentation.
Yeah, I need to try, because that's the only thing. And I did have to go and speak last week to a group up in Boulder, and I had my laptop, and they asked me that. They said, now, you're talking about all these tech gadgets to save time. Why are you still using a laptop? And I said, it's purely my fear of not being comfortable yet using strictly an iPad to present from. And it does change the fonts and the slides when you open up your Keynote or PowerPoint in there. It looks a little different than it does on my Mac. And so I need to get to that point where I do it, because wow, it's freeing to just carry this around, and it's just so easy. So
now, do you wind up carrying your iPad around the house? I know my wife does, and I sometimes do, where it's like your instant Wikipedia or whatever else you need at the moment. You're looking something up, and you get all the information you want at that moment.
If any of you out there have a tablet, whether it's an iPad or whether it's one of the Droid tablets, you end up, it's kind of a scary thing, because you end up carrying it around like it's this little child that you would dive into, you dive off a cliff to save it, and you would never leave it in a heated car. All those things I think of. And I do carry it around because we were talking the other night, let's go out to dinner as soon as we drop Daniel off at the airport. And so immediately the first thing we think of is open table, which is, the app to make reservations at any restaurant.
Sure.
And within, 30 seconds we had a reservation booked, and we were looking up, we were looking up some other information on there, but yeah, you're carrying around your brain. Yeah, and that's about the only sound effect that it needs, really.
That's sound of our brain thinking, dying.
Yeah, is that not a real addiction? It is a total addiction. It's sad, actually. I thought the other day, here's what's really kind of pathetic is I've been using my iPad as a camera, and the camera on these things is just really, really bad. My phone has an awesome camera, but I love the apps on the iPad to
Well, you're supposed to
manipulate the
transfer.
photos.
You're supposed to transfer them afterwards.
Yeah. And so I carry my iPad when I'm out places, and then I'm, whipping out an iPad on a bike ride to take pictures. I mean, it's just sad. That's just kind of an illness,
it's
really.
a little big, kind of like, hold on, hold straight. Okay, that makes you a true
just
geek.
Weird. People see you going, hold on, let me. Yeah. Okay, everybody smile, and it's just, yeah.
Okay, you've reached nerddom at that point.
It is. It's like I might as well just, I can't even think of what else I could. There's not a fanny pack big enough.
Not to carry an iPad. No.
I do have to change that saying. I learned in Australia, fanny is a different body part and very offensive. So I apologize to our Australian friends, and good thing Jeff's asleep. It is your bum bag that you wear around your waist, and I don't have one that will fit my iPad, so thankfully.
Okay. And by the way, for all of those of you in the chat room, thanks for being here, and feel free to comment on the show and get involved. Gina usually checks the chat room.
Yes, I do. And, and Lee was saying, it is an addiction, and she still doesn't have a tablet. So, Lee, you have no tablet, and you're not on Facebook, we found out. So, you are the true holdout. And yet you are very tech savvy. So, that's very impressive. And, which leads us into the discussion about Facebook, because this week, and actually today's only Tuesday, so this week being Sunday afternoon, I got the first email from this very distraught woman, Suzanne. So Suzanne, if you're listening, I told you I'd talk about this today. And Suzanne sent me this email. It was like the bat signal in the sky, a cry for help, saying, I'm trying to set up a Facebook page for my business. And she is an amazing artist. And really cool, her website, I hope I get it right. I believe it's Studio, the number 3, and then the word 10, T-E-N, Studio 310. And on her Facebook page, that's her Facebook page. So she said she's trying to, she was creating a Facebook page, but she did not want a personal page. And she has not, like Lee, has never gotten on Facebook. Doesn't want to be on Facebook, doesn't want to hear the useless blathering about people's, it was pretty funny reading her email. She goes, I don't want to hear about people's kids and what they did on the weekend, and
it's sad. I'm exactly like her. I didn't want to have a personal page on Facebook, just business. And then I found out you had to have the personal, so I started the personal.
Well, that was her question, because she found my blog. I wrote a blog post, how to create a business page if you don't have a personal page. You can create a business page without a personal page. But they'll still ask for some personal information because they need to know that there's a real person managing it and it's not a spam account. However, there is a downside to creating a business page without a personal page. So, for example, if someone comments on her art, she cannot, as a business page, you cannot go to a person, you can't go to that person's page and connect with their profile or engage on a personal level, and even there are some limitations on how you can cross-market if you happen to have a personal account first. But if you're a business page, you cannot go over to any person's page and comment. You can't write, which I can see why. I wouldn't want businesses writing all over my personal Facebook page. So, her question was, how do you do this? Well, number one, if you don't already have a big network on Facebook personally, and you're trying to create a business page, it really isn't going to benefit you to create a personal account if you're never going to use it, because really the biggest benefit comes from enlisting your personal network. Hey, I'd love you to join me over on my business page and bring your friends. It's that whole, I need the army to enlist their army to
of course,
know about that.
The problem there, though, is that your personal page may not have anything to do with your business page. Your friends may not have anything to do with your business.
Well, and that's why you have to be careful. You wouldn't want to invite everybody over, but if there are people in your person, like when I go to a networking event, if I meet someone at a networking event, and then the next day I see they've sent me a connection on Facebook, they want to connect with me, and I use my Facebook account for personal and professional networking. I keep people in different lists so that folks don't see everything. My family has a area that they can only see certain things. But I do connect with people at a networking event on Facebook, and then I can ask them if you're wanting more tech information and social media tips, join us on our Getting Geeky page, because my personal page, I try not to share tons of tech info. It's more, I don't share a lot of really, I don't share any really personal stuff, but I'll share things like, wow, it's great to have a week this week where I can just be productive and get stuff done. So it's kind of more on the personal focus, versus on the Getting Geeky page, it's just tips and info on social media and tech. So, there is a benefit to personal and professional business pages. However, you don't need to create one. And ironically, I had a phone call that came in last night. And this was really weird because the way her message started, it was like she thought I was the Facebook help desk. And she said, I'm trying to set up a business page for my boss. He didn't want to do it because he doesn't want his personal account attached. So he asked me to do it. But I don't want to share my personal information on the business page. Right. Can you call me back? But I don't want you to call me during business hours because I don't want my boss to hear me asking you all these questions. So it was really funny. And I told her, don't worry, use your personal, connect the two, because you can always unconnect after you create the page. And none of the business people see your personal stuff, and it's very separate. But so I thought there is that challenge out there, people trying to create these pages and not wanting to share personal stuff.
It's interesting. That also brings up the idea, when you're an artist, do you really want people commenting on your art? Art is subjective. I got invited once. This brings up a little quick story.
But if you're selling it, you do.
You do, I guess. But on the other hand, what if they go, this stinks?
Yeah, you delete it. You delete the
art is, that's true, you delete it. But art is subjective. I remember being at an art show once. I got invited, and I'm looking at this art on the wall, and I was just thinking a 3-year-old could have drawn that. It's like little stick figures, and this badly painted picture of a sun. And this older lady comes up to me and says, "Do you like the art?" And I bluntly said, this is something a 3-year-old would have painted.
You said that?
Yeah, I didn't realize she was the artist.
Oh, Rick.
And I can be blunt sometimes, and it was really bad. But anyway, that was my opinion. She asked my opinion. I gave her my opinion.
Well, and bloggers face the same thing. When people blog, you're opening yourself up.
Absolutely.
To comments.
Yep.
On social media, that's what keeps a lot of companies, I think, away from social media. Is they don't want to hear the negative comments.
Right, or you have to constantly delete them if that's the case, especially in the case of something very subjective.
Yeah, and I think on an artist page, if someone's going to go over and like the page, they probably like the artist. I went over to Suzanne's page. Amazing, really cool pieces. Now, immediately, I wanted to ask her, do you create greeting cards? I'd love to have a set of cards with her photos on them. They were just really, they really kind of matched, I think, my personality. I loved it. And but I didn't want to offend her, because artists sometimes know I only create big.
You want my art on a postcard?
So Suzanne, if you're listening, I'd love to have some greeting cards with those pictures on. But I think on Facebook, I think people have hit that point. And Rick, it's hard for you to answer this because you've never really engaged in the first place on Facebook. But
I've engaged a little bit.
But I think we've hit this point where we're kind of Facebook exhausted, don't you think?
I think we're social media exhausted.
Yeah, that's true. See, actually, I'm not Twitter exhausted. Are you exhausted with Twitter?
No, not really. But I noticed the more followers one has, the less you can really engage successfully.
Oh, see, now here's what I find.
In terms of a one-on-one engagement, you can engage with the herd more easily, but you can't engage as easily with the one-on-ones because half the time you don't see the messages because they go by too fast. Right.
Even with SchreckTeck, I think what I like is if you follow smart people and you build, regardless of the number of people, you build that following with smart people. Sure. When you have that flood of information coming, it's always interesting content. And maybe that's because I'm so ADD that I go, oh, comment on that. That's interesting. Comment on that. People comment on this. So I find that I don't get tired of Twitter. Facebook, what I get tired of, and I know I'll probably get some hate mail on this one, but I feel like Facebook is everybody just talking about how great they are and how great their life is. I know, it's shocking. I when you look at the Facebook stream of a personal page, there are exceptions. There are some people who put, I'm trying to think of something that's helpful.
No, but there's also a lot of garbage.
To,
and there's also a lot of stuff you go, can other people read this? These are people I know. Do I really want this out?
True.
And why are they putting this online? You know, things like that. You just kind of wonder sometimes. You know, we've lost. Now, this is something. What do you think of this? I think we've completely lost our ability to be discreet.
True. We share everything.
We share everything, and unfortunately, that gets people in lawsuits and all sorts of other bad stuff.
Well, that's what this one woman asked me. She's worried about personal information getting out. And I said, trust me, your personal information is out there, and it's not because of Facebook.
Oh, that's for sure.
It's, we put stuff out there in all different places, whether it's loan applications or whether it's on a store website or a blog.
And by the way, half the information out there will be wrong.
Right.
My daughter found one on us the other day, and it said I made $600,000 a year. I go, really? Wow, cool.
Rick's going, who's taking it?
Yeah, I was going. I know I'm paying a lot of taxes, but gee.
Well, and I think, if you Google your name, put quotation marks around it, Google your name, to see where, what information comes up. And I mean, you can find, which is really funny because last week I got an invitation in the mail for somebody's 50th birthday. Her name was Karen. That's all I knew. It had a picture of her as a child, about 5 years old. Kirk and I were looking at this going, who is this? Karen who? No last name, no return address. Come to Karen's 50th birthday. And we just, and so Kirk said, Google, what was it? Oh, it did have an address because it said, here's where the party will be. He said, Google the address. Googled the address, found out who it was. So, we can find information on you. Facebook is not the culprit. Social media is not the culprit. But I do think we're getting to that point of, I always go back to be helpful and interesting. If you're not helpful and interesting, people bore of you quickly.
Right.
If you're just talking about how great you are, how great your services are, how great your products are, it's like a brag fest.
Yeah, nobody cares.
It's tiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting when people first initially get onto social media, they immediately publicize themselves. My company does this, my company does that. Come by it, come to our website, and you know what? Right. Nobody ever shows up.
No one shows up.
And that
is something, how do you create a more engaging page? Well, make sure it's always about the community. Yeah. What do they want to hear? What pictures are fun? What topics are fun? Use a lot of the apps built into Facebook, which is another thing I think people miss out on. On the business page, and this is another big difference. On the personal page, the apps are kind of silly, like who's most popular, I know a question, I know an answer about you, Farmville, Cityville apps, those kind of things. On a business page, if you go into Facebook and look up some of their apps, one of them is Wildfire, and that is a company that creates a lot of apps to help you promote your business page on Facebook. So Wildfire, you can use them to run sweepstakes and promotions and do coupons on your Facebook page. So that's a really helpful one. But I found a website called App Bistro. So just appbistro.com. And it has hundreds of apps. Now, some are free, some have a monthly cost. But, looking at, for one of our accounts, they're a hotel that has a restaurant. So one of the App Bistro apps that we added was a menu. It created, I'm trying to see if I wrote it down. I didn't. It creates a menu that then the app, the link will show up on the side of your Facebook page. Click on it and see what the menu is. I've added the YouTube app to my Getting Geeky page, so you can click and it takes you to my YouTube channel.
Oh, that's cool.
You can add some good apps that help with the engagement. It still isn't going to drive people there if you're not interesting and helpful.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, moving right along then, what do we have? Today we're talking about InfoGraphics.
Yeah, have you checked out Visually?
I did. I looked at it last night actually this morning when you talked about it. I went, that's actually really cool.
I love infographics.
In fact, let me bring up the website. Here's the website. Now, this allows you to create infographics, to share, create, and really just kind of explore.
You can create your own, or you can just browse through and find, like, I wanted to see what's an infographic that's on there, so I put Twitter in their search, and there's a lot of really great stats and things, or you can even do your own personal Twitter account infographics, and it brings up a little character of you and shows different stats about your Twitter feed, like what words do you use most, but it puts it into a graphic. So it's kind of fun, especially for those of you who work in an area where you either present to clients or you present to team members or training and speaking. Visually is awesome. You go in there and you plug in some numbers. I have to present to a group of the leaders at one of the Hyatts that we manage their social media, and I'm plugging in. I went through and pulled a bunch of stats about their social media, and I'm going to plug it into Visually and create an infographic to share at this presentation. So there's some, I recommend people check it out just for the interesting stats that are there, or you can plug in some of your own stats and create your own.
And this is free.
It's free.
It's free. By the way, most people don't realize that all the .lys are from Libya.
Right.
Kind of interesting.
It is interesting, because I thought that with Bitly, because we live with Bitly. I mean, we use Bitly accounts for all of our clients that we work with, and we, actually set up campaigns in there. And I thought, is this safe? I mean, with everything going on, could all our links go down? But any LY, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot, yeah.
So visual.ly, really cool service for creating these and I just think, again, people are loving to share infographics, because it's, in a snapshot you can look at it and see some really interesting data.
Yeah, and here in fact are some of the samples that you can share. And by the way, all of these infographics, when you create them, you can actually share them afterwards.
Right.
And they're there. Here's one on the evolution of text, I guess, or fonts. Or
cool.
typography. That's typography. Very simple to create.
Are you a big font person?
Am I a font person?
Yeah.
I love fonts.
There are people who are really into, and I'd love to talk to someone about the whole science and fascination with fonts. I don't know what I love fancy fonts. I'm always looking for, with my last name being Schreck, I actually found a Schreck font, and so the S's have the little ogre ears and has swamp stuff dripping. So I love, and I guess really to create a font is pretty intense.
Now, if you want to go to a good font site, it's free. They're not always the best fonts in the world, but they're pretty good. Go to DaFont, DaFont.com. Yeah, DaFont.
Checking it out.
DaFont.com. David?
Which, if you are a small business, I always suggest creating a font, finding a font for your business, buying it, so that it isn't just the average font that's everywhere. For your website, for your marketing materials. We did that when we launched Synapse years ago, and we bought the font so that it could, it stands out a little more, it's different.
Yeah, the only thing you have to be careful with when you buy a font or when you use a font that's not one of the common fonts is that it has to be on every machine you use. Otherwise, and it may get translated if it's not a graphic, when you make it a graphic afterwards, it may get translated back into Arial, Helvetica, or TMS Roman. So,
and it's funny because when clients ask me to email my presentations before a conference or something, I usually won't. I'll usually tell them I need to it has to be on my stuff.
Right.
I could send them the font because you can attach the font but it changes everything so much on a presentation that I'm always like, you know what? I need to be able to use my machine. I need to know how to work stuff when it's, when it's there. But DaFont, I'm going to check that one out.
Good DaFont.
So did you find any cool apps this week?
I'm always loading apps. I've got so many apps I can't even find what I've downloaded recently, but there's all sorts of cool little apps. Why am I drawing a blank right now? I downloaded about 5 apps just the other day.
I'm a big Instagram fan, and in a couple weeks we're going to have a guy on. One of our guests is the founder of GramFeed, which is a website that you can browse through Instagram photos and the social sharing site through GramFeed.
Okay.
But Instagram is so huge. I mean, so many people are using Instagram. But on an Android, there is no Instagram.
Really? Okay.
Can't have it. Can't use it. And I'm not sure why they haven't migrated to Android yet, but
It's not an
I
iPhone.
did find one that's very similar that I really liked, and it just has some really great features called Lightbox. And when you go and you look in the Android store, there's a bunch of Lightbox entries. So it's Lightbox, and it actually is a little white box, a little white light box. Oops. So, you know, and I think it even says something like Lightbox Photo or something. But that one is one that I've been playing with on my Android phone. I really like. On the iPhone and iPad, a really cool app that I've been having fun with, and it's called Super 8 HD. Okay, remember the old Super 8 movie cameras where the film was really rough and it had little blackout, you know, things within it, choppy? The iPad has a great video camera, and the video is great on it. But with the Super 8, it kind of puts it into that old film style, and I think this is a cool thing, again, to create some fun videos to share. I'm always encouraging people, let your community see behind the scenes a little bit. Show them who your team members are. Show them a day in the life of what you do. You know, little snippets. And I think tools like this app Super 8 HD is a fun way to create some fun video clips. Maybe even do it in fast motion. When you edit it, you can increase the speed, so you can do a 30-second clip of something showing what you do. And that's what we're working on. So that's a fun app on the iPad.
That sounds great.
Super 8 HD. Love it.
Super 8 HD. And here we are. We're all trying to get rid of those Super 8 shots.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Now we have Retro Camera. That's another app on the Android, which makes it all. I had one of those when I was, I think, in 4th grade, the Brownie camera.
Yep.
On the Android, there's an app called
Polaroid had those cameras and some of the Kodaks, but yeah, they were fun, and now we're going back to it.
Which reminds me, here's for shiny objects. I found this old mini Polaroid camera. This was like a hot item not that long ago, called the iZone, and it was by Polaroid. It was an instant camera. You take the picture, and then you pulled the little tab, and it was a little mini picture. Well, I bought, I think 25 of these on eBay. About 7 years ago. We were doing a program with the fire department, and we sent them out on a big team building thing, and they had to take pictures of different things for points. So I bought a bunch of these, couldn't find the film, had to buy it on eBay, bought every pack of film I could find.
Yeah, it was hard to get film, I remember that.
You can't. And even the film that I have now, 8 years later, most of it's corrupt. And
it's completely
I was
faded,
letting Daniel, my grandson, play with those. But whatever happened to Polaroid? Are those coming back?
I thought they went under.
They did. But I think somebody's got to come out with. I mean, everything retro is hot again.
It is, but paper costs are expensive, and it hardly makes any sense since everybody wants a digital or digitally.
Well, Retro Camera on the Android, and I know there's a couple apps on the iPhone. They have apps that when you take the picture, then you can say you want it to be Polaroid.
That's right. It'll do everything like that.
Yeah.
It'll create Polaroids. It's really cool.
I agree. And you can write on it, with their, you type it and it looks like it's writing. So, everything old is new.
This is true.
Who knows? Who knew? So, okay, so let's see. What other things did I have?
We're actually at the end of the show.
Good, because I'm looking at going, we already talked about our dilemma of the day.
Yeah, we did. That was our early dilemma.
Okay, let me see if there was questions. Dafont. Okay, is it DAFONT.com?
That's it. Dafont.com.
Okay, good.
They have a lot of fonts, thousands of fonts. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are a little bit low quality, but a lot are very well done.
I'd love to find, if anybody out there knows someone who's a font junkie, I'd love just to hear some discussion around. I mean, again, there are some people who are very serious about their fonts, and it's a science, and maybe for what goes into creating a font.
It's a lot of work.
I'd like to have them on here. Yeah. But what have you got coming up this week? Anything exciting?
No, just work. A little bit of video. We're going to do a small video shoot, wrapping up some projects, and some possible exciting company information. So there's all sorts of good stuff happening.
Ooh, intrigue. Yeah, we've got a bunch of, we just took on new clients, so we're doing, this week is setup week with all the clients, getting them going, and
Yep,
then
and we've got some new
preparing a
clients.
couple presentations for next week and the week after. But
Sounds
I'm
good.
going to go play with visually and get that set up for this afternoon's appointment, and I'll share that
Oh, it sounds cool.
on Twitter, I'm sure.
That sounds
So-
great. So create some of those infographics and share them.
Yeah, I'll be playing with visually this week. So everyone have an awesome week. And, slip this in. If you're on Facebook, look for SchreckTeck Facebook page. I haven't been able to secure the URL until we have 25 fans. So I created it yesterday. We'll get 25 fans on there, and we'll
Cool.
get that name, facebook.com/SchreckTeck.
That sounds great.
So you guys have a great week.
You too, Gina, and everybody else. Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.